Welcome everybody to a look at a brand new Arrow Video 4K limited edition release, and it is 1964's A Fistful of Dollars. So this is directed by Sergio Leone, who also did the two subsequent follow-up films to this release, which was part of the Man with No Name trilogy. So that was for a few dollars more, and once the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um, but he also did Once Upon a Time in America and Once Upon a Time in the West. Um, the former of which of those I actually got the chance to see at the cinema, which was a really a great experience. I've also gotten the chance to see The Good and the Bad and the Ugly recently in the cinema as well, so I'm kind of watching this trilogy out of order, although they are only linked by those involved and the fact that Clint Eastwood plays the man with no name, as his character does have no name. So, yeah, so this is a spaghetti western. It really did kick off that genre in the mid 60s. Clocks in at 100 minutes long. Stars Clint Eastwood, who has also been in like some Where Eagles Dare and In the Line of Fire. I feel like I'm repeating myself with his films because we've had so many of his recently. In fact, we've also got a limited edition release of Dirty Harry on 4K coming out. I know the 4K of that has already been released, but there's a limited edition version of that coming. And then we also have the two follow ups to this film as well, also coming. So in total, this year alone, we're going to have six of his films in 4K. Whether or not there are any more, I don't know. I'd really like there to be a Dirty Harry box set in 4K coming out, but that's another thing entirely. Also stars Diane Maria Volante, who was also in Le Cercle Rouge, Investigation of a Citizen Above Suspicion, and Slap the Monster on page one. So the man with no name enters the Mexican village of San Miguel in the midst of a power struggle among the three Rojo brothers and Sheriff John Baxter. When a regiment of Mexican soldiers bearing gold, intended to pay for new weapons, is waylaid by the Rojo brothers, the stranger inserts himself into the middle of a long simmering battle, selling false information to both sides for his own benefit. So even though the two subsequent films would be even better, this is still an excellent effort thanks to both Leone and Eastwood. The direction is on point. Eastwood is perfect. He's got all the mannerisms down to a T, even in this first film. Also would obviously also only evolve over time, but yeah, he's got all of the mannerisms down impeccably already. And the score by Ennio Morricone is also sensational. The pacing is on point. The cinematography is excellent. The plot, though a remake of Yojimbo, or unofficially a remake of that film by Akira Kurosawa, is still well executed, even though it is familiar if you've seen that film already. The production is convincing despite its low budget. It was only produced for about $200,000 to $225,000. Clint Eastwood got about $15,000 out of that. So, not a great deal of money put into it at all, and yet it doesn't look like a low budget film, quite frankly. It is engrossing throughout, and the action scenes are solid. So, yeah, costing only around $200,000 to make and making nearly 20 million worldwide means that this was a huge success. And yeah, that in of itself meant that the spaghetti western genre was something to, put more films into, quite frankly. And yeah, this is the reason why we got so many of them post 1964. Although all of these, the Man with No Name trilogy in general, I think was released back to back in America in '67 or '68. So they didn't come to America for quite some time, and this trilogy, in fact, is one of the few to actually be released in America. It was far more of a European thing, more specifically Italy, the spaghetti western. So, yeah, but I really rather like this new box artwork that we've got going on. Unfortunately, as much as I like the side, the reverse is got all of this on it, and I don't see the point because at the end of the day, it's on the case, and you're not going to get the hard box without the case. So yeah, it's just a bit of a shame that that is all there because it kind of spoils the rest of the picture that it's got going on. But it's still a decent looking back on it, and it is a nice hard box as well, which is always good to see. We've also got a booklet with this release. So it says on the back there, introducing the man with no name. He's going to trigger a whole new style in adventure. This man with no name is played by Clint Eastwood, and A Fistful of Dollars is the first motion picture of its kind. It won't be the last, and it certainly was not, either in terms of the subsequent two films in this trilogy, or the many spaghetti westerns that I've either talked about or that were released in general. So, yeah, it's easily one of my favorite kind of genres, especially in terms of spin-offs of other genres. It really did make the traditional American western look quite stale and pedestrian by this point. There were very few American westerns in the mid to late 60s that I would say are as good as, if not better than, the Italian or European counterparts. So yeah, it really did show up the fully fledged American studios how to do it, quite frankly. So inside the booklet, we've got your cast and your crew. Then we've got A Strange and Magnificent by Henry Blythe, A Fable Laid Bare by Bill Ebery, and then A Shot in the Arm for the Western by Pasquale Anioni, and then The Sound of a New Era by Eloise Ross, and then about the presentation, and then production credits and thanks. So yeah, we do inevitably have new artwork on the go on the inside, as well as shots from the film. So yeah, really rather nice booklet, that one. It's really rather quite solid. It's about 56, 57 pages long, thereabouts. 58 if you include the production credits and special thanks. So yeah, pretty solid booklet, that one. I look forward to reading through that. We also get, thankfully, a double-sided poster. So it seems like Arrow Video put all out the stops when it comes to these new releases to their catalogue, because obviously there have been plenty of 4K releases for their older catalogue that have been on Blu-ray before, that if they've had a limited edition before on Blu-ray are just the same again in terms of their extras, in terms of the physical aspects. But obviously we've not had these before from our video, so all of this is new. And I've got the reverse. Yeah, I like both sides. It's going to be, again, like with previous Arrow video releases with double-sided posters, a bit of a struggle to decide which one to choose. And then we've got the discs themselves. So we've got the feature on the main 4K disc with a couple of extras on there, and then we've got the main extras on the Blu-ray disc. So no Blu-ray disc for the film itself, by the way, which I'm not too fussed about. You know, if I'm buying a 4K, I already have a 4K player. I have one in one room and one in another, so there's no reason to have a Blu-ray version only, because it's not something I need over a 4K, to be honest. So yeah, on the future disc, we've got a new 4K restoration from the original 2 perf Techniscope negative, and that means we've got a 4K 2160p UHD Blu-ray presentation in Dolby Vision HDR10 compatible, original English and Italian front and end titles, newly restored original lossless English and Italian mono audio. I went for the English version to watch this one, purely because Clint Eastwood did dub his voice in English for this one, unlike some American actors who would normally just get dubbed by an Italian actor or another English speaking actor. So yeah, that's pretty good in that regard. And then we've got optional newly remixed lossless English and Italian DTS HD MA 5.1 audio, optional English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing for the English soundtrack, as well as optional English subtitles for the Italian soundtrack, audio commentary by film historian and Leone biographer Sir Christopher Frayling, and then audio commentary by film historian and critic Tim Lucas, as well as trailers, TV spots, and radio spots. And then on the extras Blu-ray disc, we've got When It All Started, a newly filmed interview with film historian and critic Fabio Melelli. Then we've got Four Fingers, Four Picks, a newly filmed interview with guitarist Bruno Battisti Di Mario. I'll be interested about that because, like I said, the score on this is absolutely superb. It really did set Ennio Morricone on the path that would, like, define his career, as the spaghetti western really was his forte. Obviously, he went into other genres, you know, giallo films, gangster films, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the spaghetti western is really where he excelled the best, quite frankly. Although I would say Once Upon a Time in America soundtrack score from him as well is also absolutely superb. And then we've got the A Night at the Movies, a newly filmed interview with filmmaker Paolo Bianchini. Then we've got a fistful of outtakes, highlights from the original rushes, the day the soundtrack changed, a new visual essay by musician and disc collector Lovely John, exploring the film's iconic score. So again, another extra there about the score, which I guess just shows how iconic that score actually is. It's not just my point of view. And then we've got an archival interview with co-star Marianne Koch. Then we've got two archival interviews with Sir Christopher Frayling even, and then we've got an archival interview with Clint Eastwood. I really do wonder whether or not Eastwood, Leone, and Morricone really realised what they were making at the time and how influential it would truly be, or whether or not they thought it would just be lost to time. But the fact that it was as influential as it was, gets technically two sequels, and then basically spawns a whole genre is yeah, really fascinating, and it would be really interesting to know whether or not they thought highly of the film at the time when they were making it, or whether or not, like I said, they thought it would just disappear. So yeah, then we've got an archive for featurette with Leone collaborators Mickey Knox, Sergio Donotti, and Alberto Grimaldi. Then we've got an opening scene with Harry Dean Stanton, filmed for the film's US TV debut in 1975, plus an archival interview with the prologue's director Monty Hellman. Then we've got location comparisons from between 1964 and 2004. That's an archival featurette. Alternate credit sequences, three comprehensive image galleries, which are a fistful of pictures on the set and promoting a fistful of dollars. So a huge amount of extras there, and yeah, it's a really rather comprehensive release by the sounds of things. And yeah, that's the disc cover itself, and we get the reversible sleeve artwork as well that we've seen on the other side of the poster. So yeah, fantastic film. 4.5 out of 5. The only real thing I find annoying about it is the child dubbing voice actor. Really grating, but thankfully he's not in it all that much. And yeah, the subsequent two films would get even better than this. So yeah, really looking forward to them also getting a 4K release from Arrow Video. Um, I probably won't fully view The Good and the Bad and the Ugly because purely I've seen it already this year in the cinema, and I don't really have time for a near 3 hour film to be watched again. But I will watch a large chunk of it, especially in terms of the main parts, especially to get a full view of the kind of sound when it comes to the score and the action scenes. But yeah, really looking forward to watching the subsequent sequel because I've not seen that also for a long time like this one. And yeah, it just goes to show that yeah, a certain actor does certain at certain points does get a full fledged of releases in a given year. We've seen that with previous actors like Boris Karloff, where he get a bunch of films released either via Eureka or BFI and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really interesting that we're getting the kind of Clint Eastwood films released because really enjoyed watching Pale Rider and The Outlaw Josie Wales again on 4K. Looking forward to Dirty Harry and looking forward to the two other films in this trilogy as well. So yeah, fantastic release. Really do like the hard box, and the 4K itself looks absolutely glorious. By the way, no issues with it in terms of the sound or the picture quality. I would say probably Outlaw Josie Wales is still the absolute peak of his 4K releases so far this year. Whether or not that's going to get topped by Dirty Harry or the two subsequent films of this trilogy, I don't know. But still, the 4K looks really rather good, and the sound quality, especially with that score, yeah, it's just amazing. And yeah, I really hope to be able to see this at the cinema at some point as well. It's a bit of a shame that we didn't get the full trilogy released and only the third film released, but basically the re-releases that we watch at my local cinema are community led via an app, and yeah, the ones that get the most votes basically get the ones that are seen most. So yeah, that's just the way it goes for me. But yeah, still highly recommend seeing this film if you haven't seen it already, especially if you have seen other spaghetti westerns and you've enjoyed those and you somehow haven't come across this one first. But if you have seen this film before, that hear your thoughts on it. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.